did your relationship with Seth Davey begin?
So my relationship with Coach Daggy goes all the way back to really 2016. I was an assistant coach at my alma mater, the University of St. Francis, Fort Wayne, Indiana. And really before satellite camps became this big global phenomenon and you traveled all across the country, it stayed relatively small to your state, right? And so they happened to be traveling I-75 and they went all the way down it when he was at Bowling Green. And so for 2 years, since they were in my recruiting area in Ohio, I followed them. I worked all their camps for free and just worked really hard and built relationships with all those guys over 2 years. And then 18, going into that year, they had a GA position open up. And, I reached out and asked if there's any interest there. And, there was, and it just kind of worked out that from that relationship and trust and hard work that I put over 2 years from just working their camps, they took a chance on me, and that's where my first stop with Coach Daggy started.
And with that being said, how do the tight ends fit into what Seth Davey is trying to do on offense?
Yeah, I think the tight end position is a very unique position to begin with. They're not supposed to win any matchups on paper, right? It's like they're not supposed to block a DN. They're not supposed to be able to run past the safety, but whatever your skill set is, like, we have to find ways to meet those kids where they're at, right? And so whether we've been at Purdue, Marshall, or now here, the best thing that's happened is to allow us to have spring with those guys. So, the two gentlemen that are going to talk today, Tyler Powell and Sam Olson, their skill sets are different, right? So what Sam does is a little bit different than what TP does. And so you got to meet each kid where they're at. We've had a tight end that's been an elite receiver, right? And he's been asked to do those things. And we've had tight ends that have always been very reliable and always been where they're supposed to be. And usually where they're supposed to be, the ball's been as well. And whether that's been blocking on the perimeter or in the run game. And so we have to be able to use their skill set with what we want to do offensively, but also to give them a chance to be successful. So, yes, we would like a guy to be able to slot out and create matchup issues and all those things, but if you don't have that guy, well, you can't ask him to do that. You better put a receiver out there and, manipulate personnels and sub packages and make sure that you're still putting your guys in a chance to be successful.
Jason and then Troy.
Kind of touching on it, do you feel you have that guy, just overall impressions of your room so far?
Guy as far as which skill set?
Being able to get in the slot and create mismatches there.
I think they have the ability to do it to the extent of which we want, probably not. Now, the 5 practices that we have left, I'm really excited to see because it's no longer about execution and accountability, right? Like they do that, effort and accountability. They give great effort. They're extremely accountable. Now it's starting to see some of those things as far as execution and playing faster. So with that, I think we'll get a better tell of whether or not they can or cannot. And so we're really excited with those last couple of practices to be able to get a better grasp of whether or not they can be that. Obviously, Tyler has an elite skill set of being able to run. Sam has an uncanny ability to feel space and be very aware with his surroundings. And then Cam Barmore is very savvy. He probably has the best athletic gait of the 3 natural receiver as he transitions. So he can create those problems, but now he's been introduced to life in the core, and that's taken some transition a little bit, but he's exactly where we expect him to be, and he's doing a great job there. So it's really now about putting less thinking, go doing it, and I think these last 4 practices we'll be able to get a better tell of that.
Since this is your first season with this group of players, has anybody stood out from that group in your opinion that you weren't surprised, you're surprised by them and they did more than what you thought maybe coming in?
Well, Coach Gonzalez told me this is the best that Tyler Powell has ever looked while here. And so obviously I don't know that, right? As you alluded to, this is my first season here. But I've been very pleased with his growth and development of the room. They're all bought in, but I feel like he's really dug into what I've been selling, and you see the dividends paying out in the field, and so I'm really excited about his future. Sam upholds the standard really well, and I think he's grown in ways to which he's not really been accustomed to, right? Obviously, he's been with a position coach for X amount of years, and he's had some habits that have been really muscular ingrained with how he operates, which is not right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just what was coached, and obviously there's multiple ways to skin a cat. But now he's seeing the dividends of what I'm teaching and how it fits, and he's starting to really flourish as well these last couple of practices as he comes into his own with some of the new techniques that are being taught. So I'm really pleased with where the room's at. They all have grown. Sam and Tyler, I would say, have grown the most, and they're all doing a really nice job.
What would you say is the standard for tight end with this offense and the Seth Beatty offense? How does the tight end fit into the offense?
The standard is not really going to be defined by the numbers that you produce, right? Like, I think that's a very easy way to say whether or not you are successful or not. That is not how we define success or as the standard. Our motto is choose violence, right? And so in everything that we're doing, we're going to be aggressively violent, and that's going to be an aggressive with our run pass, that's going to be aggressive with our blocking, that's going to be aggressive with tacking the football in the air. But that's also going to be aggressive and violent in the classroom, right? We're going to attack our studies. We're going to violently pursue our relationships with people. And once they get that ingrained, like, that's the standard, is to relentlessly, violently pursue anything that you do. And as long as that mentality is on point, they'll be fine. And whether that's 1 catch or 10 catches, you're going to positively impact a game in the right way that's going to allow us to find a W on Saturdays.
As far as recruiting goes, what areas or like parts of the country do you have, I guess, the most connections with, and what's your plan for recruiting?
So I'm a Midwest guy originally, right, from Ohio. I would say that's where most of my experience comes. I have experience in Texas as well, specifically the Dallas and Houston area. As you guys know, we've made a little bit more of an impact in the Texas area with joining the Big 12. We've had some success there. I spent a little bit of time in the spring once I got hired down there in the Texas area. This upcoming cycle, once it opens again, will be a little bit more position specific. So you got to go where the kids are. And obviously, tight end is a unique position with the skill set that we're looking for. So I'll probably be all over the country, but still primarily within our bases of Texas, Arizona, California, being the more the local areas, and then depending on where we need to branch, then I'll get there as well.
And then as far as blocking goes, how are you guys coaching that? Do you work with offensive linemen and receivers, maybe a little bit of both? What's your approach with blocking?
Yeah, so we don't work necessarily with both of them. We do at times, right? There's certain blocks that we need the O-lineman to execute. There's certain things that we do with the receivers as far as more some of the perimeter blocking things that you guys have seen, that we'll do some perimeter blocking drills. But anything that we do as a unit, we try to do individually. And I think that's been one of the things, obviously being a tight end coach, that I'm a little biased towards, right? I feel like the guys that are the tight end tackle coaches, like, you're not really serving the tight ends, right? Or the guys that are, the tight ends inside receiver coach, you're still not serving the tight ends in the aspect of blocking. And so we're separated, we're our own entity. Now, a lot of the drills that we do are very O-line specific when it comes to run game in certain situations, and obviously the receiving drills that we do are very receiver-based receiver drills too. And so obviously I've worked with receivers, I've coached receivers, I've got good friends that I believe are very great O-line coaches, and obviously I learned from Coach Oglesby as well to see what drills I can incorporate. But we're going to incorporate those on our own to make sure that we're serving them in the fullest capacity as possible.
Michael? 2 questions for you. Obviously, you've been with Coach Dagey a couple of different stops, and last year got to see him be in charge of an offense, and that offense evolved, I think, based on personnel. How would you describe just the process of how he goes about figuring out what he has and then what to do with it?
Coach Dagey and I are cut from the same cloth, right? And so I've said this a few times, and I mean it with my full heart. Everybody has their guys in the profession. There's very few guys in which you'd risk your family's livelihood for. Like, he's that for me. I believe in him wholeheartedly, and he is a perfectionist, right? And so if he doesn't have a solution, he's going to find a solution. if he's still studying what skill sets kids may be, we'll put them in situations to make sure that we're able to get a better tell of what they can and cannot do, which is these last 4 practices is what we're putting the kids in, just to see, how much we can grow the offense and what way that we need to grow it as well, and try to get them there the best we can. And as a coworker for him, that's what I was impressed with his first year is you go into it thinking that this is what I want to do, right? Everybody says that we have the air raid moniker, which we do. That is where the system was founded from. But between his experiences at Ole Miss and Purdue and at Marshall, he and I have really kind of helped formulate this own little identity into, hey, you got to throw the ball to score points, but run the ball to win games. And he's done a nice job of understanding where the kids are at and how to get the most out of them. And he didn't get to go into last year getting to do what he wanted to do, but he found ways to win the games with the guys that we did. And as a coworker, I really admired that because that takes a lot of selflessness and to put down your guard to serve the kids and to make sure that, like, holistically as a program, you're doing what's best to put your team in position to win games, which is ultimately what it comes down to.
Sure. And then the second question, obviously he's not here yet, but Kellen Ford is someone who's ranked pretty highly in Arizona's signing class. What kind of player do you envision him being? What kind of skill set do you think he'll bring?
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that. Obviously, Kellen's here on campus right now, so he's on spring break, and so he's hanging out with Coach B's son, Scotty, and they came over and they observed the last couple of practices, so it's been fun to have him around, and he's kind of gotten to check it out a little bit. But I do think Kellen is going to provide a skill set that helps the room. I was pretty impressed with his blocking ability and his willingness on his film that he's put out there. Obviously, college life is going to be a little bit different, but the biggest thing that he has is his mentality, right? So it's there, so we'll polish him up. He'll be fine. And he does have a gift of changing direction, right? I'm anxious to see what that is live. Obviously, I've not been able to do that. But he does have a nice gait. I would say he's got a little bit more natural ability to catch the ball than some in the room. He doesn't have the gait of Tyler Powell to truly, like, open it up. Now, he is fast, but Tyler Powell fast when healthy is like a different speed. But he does change directions pretty well. So I would say he's got a complement of skills that will allow him to flourish in a variety of positions that we put him in.
Lastly, Justin. 2 questions for you. You come from a quarterback background?
Yes, sir.
Is that right? So what has it been like for you to observe the relationship that Noah and Seth have as quarterbacks?
Yeah, well, those are 2 special people, right? I think Noah's a special individual, not only with obviously his gifts, but him as a person. He's very humble, and he serves everybody to the fullest capacity, and he wants to learn and grow, so he's very modest as well. And then Seth is very similar, right? Like, he has great experiences, but he's also not so big-headed that he can't serve Noah and what Noah's skill sets are, right? So I think that marriage has been really special to watch and grow and develop. And you start to see the fruition come through in 10 practices, right? And so how Noah's able to get through all of his reads and when he hits his drop foot to get back to the field and, a 3-by-1 vertical concept the other day on Saturday was extremely impressive, and he's super cerebral, and Daigie's going to push him to even further that to the best of his ability. But I think when you talk about two humans, they were made for each other. They're fierce competitors, but yet they're extremely humble and want what's best for each other and serve each other in the fullest of capacities.
And secondly, how often has someone brought up the fact that your name is the same as like an all-time punter here?
Yeah, not often. It's been brought up. Actually, Coach Wade teases me probably the most about that than everything is that, hey, when anyone asks you, just say you're in the rafters. And so I have to remind them, yeah, I do not own that honor by any means, but it's not been brought up as much as you would think, but it has been brought up. Yeah.
All right, that's our time.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Nice seeing you guys.